And those soft, fresh breezes over the trees so fair, with thy Creator's glory reflecting everywhere. O sea of palest emerald, merging to darkest blue. Whene'er my thoughts fly Godward, I always think of you. Oh dear, verdant island set in blue Caribbean sea. Oh, I'm coming, coming very soon. Oh, beauteous isles to thee. Although I've wandered far, my heart enshrines thee yet. Homeland, fair Cayman Isles, I cannot thee forget.
Thank you, Nina. Wasn't that a wonderful rendition, ladies and gentlemen? It's always a pleasure to be in West Bay, and it is even greater pleasure to be supporting Miss Daphne as part of a dynamic progressive team that is going to form the next government of these Cayman Islands. I told you earlier that I'm the progressive candidate for Georgetown West. I want to let you know that I will be bringing home Georgetown West for the progressives. The welcome and the love the voters have shown me has been overwhelming and very humbling. So I want you to make sure that Ms. Daphne joins me to bring back real representation to you here in West Bay West. The progressives will move West Bay forward and ensure that the things that are important to you get done. We have built a solid foundation over the last 4 years. The economy is growing, more people have jobs, small businesses are growing, the confidence of investors has returned, and a new progressive government is set to shift gears to attack the issues that are important to you. We are going to make sure that our young people receive the education that prepares them for the jobs of the future and that includes vocational training. We are going to monitor and police the granting of work permits so that Caymanians are not excluded from jobs for which they are qualified. We are going to look at the cost of health insurance to make it affordable for everyone to get quality health care. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a plan, and you know that when we tell you, it's not an idle boast. If we say we are going to do it, it will be done. Amen. Nina, I'm going to ask you to come back on stage so we can get the real show on the road.
Good evening again. I'm David's co-host, Nina Orrett. And at this time, I'd like to introduce a very, very intelligent man, a very kind-hearted man, married to a very wonderful, wonderful, kind-hearted wife. Peter, Mr. Schmidt, is originally from Switzerland and has been a resident of West Bay since 1969 and a citizen since 1977. He and his wife Shirlene have been married since 1971. Together, they have one fine son, and his name is Patrick. After a full career as airline captain, chief pilot, and director of safety and security, he retired from Cayman Airways in 2013. I still think he's like one of the finest captains ever. The Schmidts are homeowners in West Bay and have operated several small businesses in the past. He's a member and past member of Rotary Central, past chairman of Junior Achievement, and he has recently completed a stint on the Labor Board. He is an avid traveler and has visited many countries around the world, which has helped him to broaden his horizons. He's very concerned about the affairs of state and society in and about Cayman, and particularly in West Bay, and can often be heard engaging on talk shows on these topics. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Peter Schmidt.
You know, one of the problems is that when you're vertically challenged, most of the time these lecterns are too high. But it kind of makes it look it's easier for me to read when I lose my way along in what I want to say. Anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure to be here and to speak to you, primarily to endorse our candidate. I also want to thank you for coming out to inform yourselves about your choice of candidates that are offering their services to be your representatives in the next election. I arise to endorse the candidacy of Miss Daphne Orrett, or Miss Daphne as we call her, because I believe she will be an important component of any government. She's a person with heart and compassion. Miss Daphne is a mature lady, a mother and grandmother that has experienced many trials and hardships in her life. She has suffered tragedies in her family and had to endure every parent's nightmare of having to watch one of her children succumb to illness and pass on. Children are supposed to bury their parents, not the other way around. All this has reinforced what Miss Daphne is and has always been known for, being a caring person, being a caring person that will always take time to listen to your concerns and to do her best to help. She's definitely not the type of person that says, "I will see what I can do," and that'll be the last you hear of it. Now we know that every politician will listen to you. But we also know that some are actually thinking about something else while talking to you. This is not at all surprising, since there are many issues that need to be addressed at the best of times, and many of today's representatives are focusing on a national level, and that is important as well. But we also know that we cannot lose sight of what is happening at ground level in the homes that are off the beaten track, and with people that are too shy to speak out, to trumpet their difficulties to the world. That is why we need a person like Miss Daphne. Miss Daphne knows that the success and prosperity of every successful country is the physical and mental well-being of ordinary families. She knows that ignored issues can become a very destructive downward spiral in a very short time. Many of our societal problems of today started at a very benign level. For example, a mother finding it necessary to go out to work or get a second job to make ends meet, loses control of looking after her children. A juvenile making a misstep and ending up in the court system. A child that has minor learning difficulties gets left behind. The parent is unaware of assistance that might be available to intervene at an early stage. Someone becomes concerned about a problem in the community, but they don't feel they want to go to the authorities. All these people will find a listening ear and a caring heart in Miss Daphne, not just on election time, but always, and you know that. Miss Daphne has seen and heard all that before. She knows how to ask the right questions and where to find answers, and she will make it her business to do so. One of government's important duties is to keep the economy moving, because that is the engine that is feeding all of us. But in recent time, governing our small country has become ever more complex. This takes up a lot of time, requires highly educated people in leadership positions. But in an age of instant electronic everything, we cannot forget our local citizenry, not all of whom are familiar with the latest electronic gadgets, but they nevertheless deserve a fair hearing. Further, recently we've been hearing more voices, especially from seniors, saying that Cayman is developing too fast, and some are longing for a connection to the Cayman of yesterday, when life was more tranquil and there was a greater sense of community. I'm tired of looking at this mic right in front of my nose here. But anyway, so Miss Daphne can identify with those sentiments and will carry those concerns to the inner sanctum of cabinet and caucus meetings, and they will be heard there. In closing, Miss Daphne is a person of stellar character. She is not a bully. She will not lambast or try to ridicule her opponents. She has never been accused of being corrupt or having misappropriated public funds. She is not the type of person that shouts and ridicules people. Miss Daphne does not have to declare the purity of her heart. We already know that by her actions. So on May 24th, when you go to vote, I strongly recommend that you, the voter of West Bay West, make Miss Daphne your choice. All of Cayman will thank you for having chosen wisely with your head and with your heart. Thank you.
I did ask Peter if he would run for election, but he says no. So I'm hoping that one day maybe Patrick, his son, would finally decide to take his turn at the LE. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you my son. He's going to hate me for this. Mom, why did you do that? You got to make everybody know I'm your son. Yeah, because I'm a proud mom. That's right. I keep telling him, I said, don't forget I made you. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you my son, my baby boy, my blue eyes. He's going to kill me for all this. The love of my life, Rico Rolando Orrett Ebanks.
More than shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up, oh, to more than I can be. Thank you.
Now I would like to introduce someone who has a new name given to him by the Honorable D. Kurt Tibbetts, the preacher, Joey Hugh, out from West Bay. Well, he's running for Georgetown North, but that's where he was growing up, right there. All right, Joey Hugh.
Like a fool, I went and stayed too long. I'm wondering if your love's still strong. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Then that time I went and said goodbye. Now I'm back and not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed.
But I won't sing. Good evening. Yes, I gave me a new nickname after Saturday night, but the only issue is this. We're here by the water, it's so calming. And my mother's just down the street and I don't want her to come out here and deal with me, so I'm gonna have to be easy tonight. I'm gonna have to be calm tonight. As David said, I grew up around here, just down the street. Mr. Garston and the school bus used to drop me right here at the corner. And I was one of the few people I either during Northwester season I got off the school bus and went and stick seas right here. Or if it was June plum season, I went straight into the tree right there. Or otherwise, I was one of the few young men that Captain Curtis would allow to come and feed his monkey. If those of you who remember when Captain Curtis had a monkey. And after that, we would swim in the turtle crawl or go up to slippery edges where I have several bumps and a few scars in the back of my head from playing at slippery edges. That was the past, ladies and gentlemen. And we're here tonight to talk about the future. We're here tonight to talk about a future led by the Progressives government coming up in the next 4 years. We spent the last 4 years building the foundation. We came into office at a time when government finances, if you were there on Saturday night, I read an article that was the 2012 highlight in the Caymanian Compass. Highlight of the year was government finances in trouble. $66 million overdraft, completely consumed. Fears of payroll not being made for the civil servants. We fast forward to today, where we don't have an overdraft, and where people are being paid, civil servants, not only civil servants, but most importantly, because I remember my businesses were waiting 3, 4, 5 months to get paid by government back then. Businesses are being paid on time. The economy has grown, continues to grow. And ladies and gentlemen, West Bay cannot afford to miss out on this. West Bay cannot afford to not be a part of the future of this country. There's so much happening, but from my perspective, and you'll hear from other speakers, in the Ministry of Tourism, we've been working very hard in increasing our tourism numbers, rebuilding our tourism to where it was over a decade ago. Cruise passengers, when we took office, were around 1.2 million passengers per year. And over the last couple of years, we've grown that by about 400 million to 1.7 million, with an average spend of about $115 per person. or per passenger. That's a benefit of $197 million into the Cayman Islands economy per year. And as you know, we have embarked on the development of the cruise berthing facilities. This is extremely important if we are going to maintain our place in this market. When people ask, do I think it's the right thing to do, I say to them, the question is, do we want to remain in the cruise tourism business? That is the main question. Because if we do not build the piers, we will no longer, in 10 years' time, as the larger ships come into production, and right now, you cannot get a ship on the production line until the year 2022. That is the first available spot to get a ship built. And they're all building the larger ships. And if we do not have berthing facilities to disembark those passengers, we will find ourselves being left out in this industry and our numbers returning to 1 million or less per year. And I think there's way too many Caymanians who have invested in the North Sound operations, in taxi and tours operations, in restaurants and shops for us to take that risk. So I think it is imperative, if we want to stay in this industry, if we want to continue to inject $197 million per year into the economy, that we do build these piers. And with the piers, we will see a sustained industry of just over 2 million passengers per year. Because the way the deal is being structured is that the only way the cruise lines will get their money back from the building of the piers is by visiting and bringing the passengers. And so we will have sustained growth for 15 or 20 years of 2 million passengers per year. What that also means is that the passengers are on shore for an average of about an hour longer. This allows passengers to either come ashore, shop, go back onto the ship, put their things up, come back off and take a tour, or perhaps take a tour in the morning and then also take a tour in the afternoon. So the multiplier effect of having them on shore for an average of an hour, hour and a half longer, you can do the mathematics. In discussions with the cruise lines as well, and talking to them about what will be the steps taken after the building of the piers, they talked about things like water taxes that are quite common and popular in other jurisdictions where you have piers. And right away, when I think water taxes, I think direct water taxes from the cruise ship terminal to West Bay. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And there we can create another hub of activity, tourism activity right here in West Bay. There are plans in place already with the Ministry of Planning, Lands, Agriculture and Housing and Infrastructure to rework this road, and I know there's a gentleman in the audience who knows quite a bit about it. Rework this road to create a T-section here, allowing us to use, with the road being on what would be the northern end of Mr. Floyd's yard, allowing us to use all of this area to create better parking and to create a little craft market for the West Bayers to sell their wares and be properly licensed and regulated in a proper craft market here in West Bay, so that when the cruise numbers do grow, West Bayers are in a position to take advantage of this industry. Stay over tourism, again, we grew the numbers from around 300,000 up to 385,000, 390,000 last year. That's a tremendous amount of growth considering that we had no new hotel rooms. So that was just strictly all from our marketing efforts and from our efforts internationally and locally to expand our gateways. One of the first things we did when we took office were to look at Cayman Airways and said, well, we're not just going to use you as a tool for people to go away shopping on the weekend, and we're not just going to subsidize you, we're actually going to buy seats and send you to the areas that the Department of Tourism have done their research to say that there are persons there who want to come on vacation in the Cayman Islands. And at $200 a seat, we've managed to grow our numbers from, like I said, just over 300,000 to just under 400,000. And if you look at that, without hotel rooms, and now in November we had the opening of the Kimpton with 20%, adding 20% more rooms to our inventory. The Margaritaville just had a soft opening. They'll be opening another 100 and something rooms in a couple of weeks. We anticipate tremendous growth in stayover tourism over the next couple of years as well. There's several other hotel projects online, so we anticipate to see at least another 1,000 hotel rooms being built over the next 2 years. This is a tremendous growth and tremendous boost in our industry. And we have to make sure that our people are there to take advantage of it. We have Southwest Airlines starting operations into the Cayman Islands in June. We have worked the better part of 2.5 years in negotiating with them to get them to come here. This is going to be a tremendous boost to the Cayman Islands. Southwest has more gateways than any other airline in the United States, in particular in the mid-southwest and west coast of the United States, an area that until now we had barely tapped into. So we're extremely excited about that. And we continue on with our plans to ensure that as we grow, as we develop stayover tourism, as we increase our numbers, that we also prepare our Caymanian people to take advantage of this. And so we started the hospitality school 3 years ago. We're into our third cohort of students. We have confirmed that over the last 2 graduating classes, 50% of the students have gone on to further education, both at UCCI and overseas. One of the opportunities overseas is that we forged a partnership with Johnson & Wales University in Miami, and we have managed to negotiate a 50% discount for those persons with a 2.5 GPA and higher, and a 40% discount, and it goes down as your GPA gets lower. But basically what that allows a young person coming out of the hospitality program to do is to go on a Department of Tourism scholarship along with the discount from the Johnson & Wales University and have a full scholarship, a free ride for 4-year education at Johnson & Wales University. This is extremely important for us, and we hope to continue to develop the program. Just by the way, the hospitality school, we didn't try to build a brand new big building. We didn't try to buy a hotel or take away a hotel from anyone. We used UCCI. We joined with the private sector, the Cayman Islands Tourism Association, the Ministry of Education, and UCCI, and we created the hospitality school in the classrooms at UCCI, and then they do their practical work in the hotels and restaurants, and they come out with a City and Guild certificate. So it's not just a local certificate program, it's an internationally recognized certificate program that you can actually use to continue on your education. And we have delivered this free of cost to every student interested. We have even gone as far as to provide help with daycare, to provide help with transportation, whatever it took to take any interested Caymanian person, any Caymanian interested in the hospitality industry. We did whatever it took to ensure their success. It was only up to them if they did not want to succeed. And we will continue to do that. We will continue to push in educating and preparing our people to take advantage of these opportunities as they come online. And again, I have to say it, ladies and gentlemen, West Bay cannot be left out of this. If you guys have seen the airport, $55 million project. No borrowing, no special deals, no New York deals, no London deals, no borrowing. Above the board, well done, on target, on budget. And in fact, we got an update this week that we will be we'll be using a lot of that new space by the end of this year. By November of this year, we'll be occupying quite a bit of the new area of the airport. So we are on target with the airport. We're going to, at the moment, the airport was built to handle a capacity of 500,000 throughput for the year, but it's actually doing 1 million. We're building it to handle 2.5 million throughput for the year. So that will serve our needs for years to come. We've also increased we've started to replace our older planes with Cayman Airways. We're moving to the MAX 800s over the next 3 or 4 years. Along with the 2 Sabs and the Twin Otters, we will have a complete fleet and by far the newest and most modern fleet in the entire region. Something we can all be proud of, and again, without borrowing. With proper financial planning, we have been able to do this. And if you notice all the roads that are being built around, because it's important for us, we looked at it holistically. When we were doing the port and the airport, we included National Roads Authority. When we brought in the engineers to engineer the port, we asked them to do a traffic study along with National Roads Authority. And they looked at the airport, our projected growth of stayover tourism. They looked at the cruise port, our projected growth there, and developed a transportation plan or a road networks plan that will support it. So you're seeing all of the road work being done now, preparing us for the future, for the development that we have coming, for the expansion. And again, ladies and gentlemen, no special deals, no borrowing. We're doing it all through sound financial management and through planning. Ladies and gentlemen, my time is just about up, but my message for you this evening, the main message, as a person that grew up down the street, as a person, because Mr. Bush in the House likes to say that I didn't go to Sunday school, I was looking skill pots. Might have been true, but I got good snappers with them skill pots. But as a person that grew up catching skill pots on this beach and catching mutton snappers off of that iron shore right over there behind Mr. Nettie House, West Bay needs to be a part of this future. It has to be. Will be a progressive-led government for the next 4 years, and we will continue to grow this country, and I want West Bay to be a part of it, not on the other side trying to stop it. We have to have West Bay included. So let us make a change for West Bay. Let us break the chains holding us back in West Bay. Let's vote for Ms. Daphne Orrett because West Bay deserves no less. She's the best for West Bay West. Ms. Daphne Orrett, ladies and gentlemen, let us include West Bay in the future of Cayman. Thank you, God bless, and have a good night.
That's it, Joey, you tell him. But I introduced Joey, who lived down the road here, grew up down the road here. Now I'm going to introduce another progressive candidate who lived a few years down the road that way. I would like to introduce the progressive candidate for Newlands, Mr. Wayne Panton.
Hey, you! Come here! Hey! Yeah, yeah, you! Hey, 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 hey. We go, hey, here we go. Can you breathe? You got to breathe. Breathe. You got to breathe. Yeah, you wanna breathe. You got to breathe. Ready to defend in the toughest time. Right down till the end. Standing by my side. When I need a friend.
Good evening, West Bay. Let's get some energy going here now. Joey had some. I've been trying to find it all week, and I think I'm going to dig some up out of the bottom of the well here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a long ways, the other corner of the island, from my constituency of Newlands. But I am happy to be here. I am happy to be speaking this gentleman here who has done a fantastic job. You see, he's not a lot bigger than a skill pot, but oh, he bad. And he got some energy, and he got some information, and he can put it out there. He has got it going on. Miss Daphne, it is a pleasure to be here supporting you. You are a lady.
That's right.
You are a classic lady. I don't care what anybody says you are a fantastic lady and you have the class to represent West Bay West with dignity and with honor, with energy, because that woman can get up and dance too. Don't let that fool you. Miss Daphne, what you about 48? She danced like she's 48. She got it going on too. Ladies and gentlemen, this progressive government has done a good job over the last 4 years. I don't care how you look at the data. I don't care what you look at. It is positive. We have come a long ways as a country, and we have a lot to be proud of. And none of it involves any bad name, any negativity, no scandals, all strong, positive stuff, reflecting great effort, good, strong examples of humanity, caring about people, caring about the country, and delivering for the people in the country. You know, when you think about it, we have gone from a situation where we had economic growth basically non-existent. Anytime you're around 1% or a little bit less than that, that is next to nothing. That is teetering on the edge. That is when you try to stand up on a bicycle and you're not pedaling forward and you ain't got a tire turn and your foot up on the wheel. You're going to fall off in no time. We have taken a situation. We've restored trust and confidence in this country. We've restored the view that we can find opportunities here. Our people can take advantage of those opportunities, and they can get jobs, and they can realize their dreams. Now, is it all perfect? No. But that just means that you need another 4 years of a progressive government in this country who have demonstrated that we have made it a lot better and we can make it a lot better. And we need somebody of the caliber, of the quality, of the personality, of the character, of the skill, of the experience, of the passion of Miss Daphne, representing West Bay West, to be a part of another successful 4 years in this country, to help the people of West Bay West, to help the people of all of our wonderful, beloved Cayman Islands. Miss Daphne, you have, I'm not just making those things up, you know, those blue eyes you have there, they really reflect a degree of sincerity and honesty that belies her ability to contribute to this country, to contribute to her constituency, and to help a progressive government, a progressive platform, make things better. And what do we have to lose here? What do we have to lose in giving Miss Daphne a chance? We have a constituency that is full of wonderful people, but it is also one that has historically had issues for decades. And is it a coincidence that we've had the same kind of representation with the same kind of personalities for those same decades? Let's consider making a change to give someone like Ms. Daphne the ability to work with a government that has demonstrated their ability to get things done, to move things forward, to improve things in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take small businesses as an example. When we came into government, we found a situation where there were thousands of small businesses that had not been able to pay their fees for years. There was a backlog. There was an outstanding arrears. And the rules at the time were that they had to pay those up in order to get a current good standing certificate or business license. We implemented a program which not only waived those outstanding fees, but reduced the new fees for small businesses, for micro businesses. In relation to micro businesses, it was reduced to nothing. The fees were zero. 2,500 small businesses in this country, small and micro businesses, took advantage of that and got licensed and got up to date. Now, why is that important? Well, let me explain. When legitimate businesses are looking for other businesses to provide goods and services to them, or it could be individuals, and definitely the government as well, they want to make sure that the businesses that they are seeking to get these services and goods from are businesses that are licensed and in good standing and in compliance with the law. Our program allowed 2,500 small businesses to get in compliance with the law, to get their business licenses, and to be able to participate in those public and private requests for proposals or solicitations for the provision of goods and services from different businesses and individuals in this country. So we facilitated, we enabled them to be able to take advantage of those opportunities that they did not have prior to that because of their situation for the outstanding fees. And let me say as well, you know, I have heard from down the road here, but I've heard it down so and over so and a couple other places that, oh yeah, small businesses are going down in this country and small businesses are in trouble. Well, I tell you what, if they're in trouble today, they were in bigger trouble before. Because we know we've had economic growth of around 3% now. So the environment, the business environment has improved. The licensing environment for them has improved. And more of them have been able to qualify to continue to do business. So I would say those kinds of statements are clearly wrong. I talk to many small business owners and they tell me that, and it's not across the board, but the majority tell me that things are good and looking up and getting better. The business community generally has more confidence in this country, and that's why we also have increasing economic growth. That is why we have a reduction in unemployment. That is why we have more Caymanians, and I think the number is probably somewhere around 2,000 more Caymanians in the last few years being employed in this country than were employed before. So those are all very positive things. We also have one other statistic that I want to bring to you, which is that in the last 4 years, we've had approximately 1,000 new businesses that have been registered, or net new businesses registered in this country. So, you know, what does that mean? Well, the Caymanian owners of small businesses, they're in a better position. They're better able to provide for their families. But what else? Well, if we can make an environment better for small businesses, then they're going to do better, and they're going to create more jobs, and they're going to hire more people. And we all should know by now that small businesses are a very significant part of the economy, and they're a very significant contributor to the employment numbers in the country. Let me give you an example. If you took the 10 biggest companies in Cayman, and each of them created 10 jobs and hired 10 people, right? Great. And of course, we want those to be Caymanians. So we got 100 more Caymanians employed. We got 10 big companies that have created 10 new jobs each. Great. And they say, you know what, business is good. But if by creating a better business environment, 500 small businesses can create one more job each, that is how many? 500 jobs created. Those are the types of reasons why, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to have policies that support small businesses, promote the dealing and the purchase of goods and services from small businesses, because it helps and is a big contributor to the economy and to employment opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, financial services, you all know I am the minister. I have been a minister for financial services. That is something that's very near and dear to my heart. It's something I've been in for, I guess it's going to date me nearly 30 years now, or about 30 years. But financial services, ladies and gentlemen, have, from the day we took office, been taking up a tremendous amount of our time. And we have taken up the mantle, we have faced the issues, we have confronted the problems, we have negotiated the best possible position for the Cayman Islands, and the Cayman Islands has come out on top. We remain the preeminent jurisdiction for much of the global financial services business that we have been engaged with. And that is going to continue, ladies and gentlemen, as far as we in the progressives have anything to do about it. I have my colleague here, Councillor McTaggart, who has been a councillor in that ministry with me as well. He's probably more engaged nowadays in the health ministry, but he has contributed significantly in relation to financial services. And we have those same people making comments that financial services is in trouble, financial services are on the decline, and they talk about this whole concept of beneficial ownership being such an issue. Absolute nonsense. We have come out in a strong position. Remember where we started off in relation to the issue of beneficial ownership. We were being requested to impose a public central register of beneficial ownership. And where are we today? We have agreed, as have all of the overseas territories and the Crown dependencies, to have a mechanism in place which does not have a public element. It is simply an exchange of the same information that we have collected and shared for the last 15 years. That is exactly what we're doing. So when you hear comments suggesting that somehow there has been some harm done to financial services, not true. Not true at all. And let me tell you, let me just touch on the environment quickly, because not just because we're sitting here on this gorgeous end of 7 Mile Beach, but because, how much time I got? But because the tourism element is so important to people in West Bay, I want to make the point that we brought into effect a national conservation law in 2013. Now, it did not get full support initially when we first took it to the LA, but we made some changes. At the end of the day, we ended up with a law that was unanimously adopted by all members of the Legislative Assembly. And that law, ladies and gentlemen, went from being the national conservation law that it had been for the 10 or 12 years before. into the national conservation law that we have today. That law, ladies and gentlemen, protects and preserves and contributes to a very, very vital industry to this country, which is the tourism industry. And tell me how many West Bayers have not been engaged for decades in that most vital and important industry. So it should be very important to West Bayers. It should be very important to Ms. Daphne's constituents in West Bay West that we have legislation, overarching legislation that seeks to protect and promote and preserve a major part of our tourism asset in this country, because it protects their jobs too. It makes Councillor Hughes' job easier. It makes Minister Kirkconnell's job as the Minister for Tourism easier to have an asset like the environment that we all value in the Cayman Islands being an integral part of our economy. We've done valuations, and I can tell you, we haven't released it yet, but I can tell you the number is north of $150 million a year. That is what the value of our environment, and particularly our marine environment, is to our economy. So any legislation we have in place that seeks to better provide a framework to protect that is better for this country, it's more sustainable for this country, and it's better for our children, because many of us will have children who are interested in the tourism industry and should have opportunities, as have those of us who have been around for decades now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to make that point very clearly and relate it specifically to West Bay, because I know where West Bay's hearts are. I know it's never far from the sea. I know it's never far from the environment. But guess what? It isn't far from our minds, from any one of us in the rest of the island, because it's what we feel identifies us as being Caymanians too. It's a part of our DNA. It's a part of our national psyche. And therefore, it is important to us individually, and it's important to us from an economic perspective. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to support this fantastic lady here. Don't mind any negativity here, because she got it going on. She knows what to do, and she is smart enough and capable enough to add tremendous value to a progressive platform going forward in this country, that we in this country must be smart enough to put back in place for another 4 years with Ms. Daphne as your West Bay West representative. And shamelessly, I go and say, anybody with Newlands family, on a tell them to put me back in too, because I am from Newlands. I grew up there. That is what matters to me personally. So I want to continue serving this country. I want to continue serving the people of Newlands. And I want you in West Bay West to bring Miss Daphne along and add her to a successful progressive slate that I know you are going to return to power for another 4 years in this country to continue to make things better. Because that is exactly what we have done over the last 4 years, and that is exactly what we will continue to do over the next 4 years. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Boy, they're on fire down here. Woo! West Bay! That's right. This is just the smoke. But where there's smoke, there's fire. Red fire. Red fire. Yeah. Next, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my niece, Coriel Orrett, as she's coming up to the platform. Let me just give you a little insight about Corey. She's single. She's gonna kill me for this. No. Oh, I got the bad eye already. She's a beautiful girl, smart girl, sweet, caring child. And then she's my adopted daughter, I call her, because she went everywhere with me. We traveled together, she and my son Rico. We were partners. So, ladies and gentlemen, Coriel Megan Orrett. It's Daphne's granddaughter.
Hello and good night. I definitely won't take up too much time of the already delayed schedule, but I just wanted to say a few words about Miss Daphne. Some know her. Hi. Some know her as Ansuke, and others, such as myself, know her as simply Granny. And what a blessing it is to have the privilege to call this phenomenal woman my grandmother. And I say that with my heart very full, because she's a beacon of light when any situation seems hopeless. She is a voice of reason, and she's always there. And if you know my grandmother personally, you know that she's always there in your time of need. Anytime you need her, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning, she'll get up out of her sleep and she'll come do what you need to do. But of course, I'll touch on this election because this is all what we're focusing on now. And of course, this year's election is quite pivotal in our history. And being a young woman, especially being a young woman, for this year, I think it's imperative that we have the right female representation in a traditionally male-dominated house. Sorry, I'm very nervous. But this year, I guess we're very fortunate to see record-breaking numbers in the amount of women who are fighting for this seat, all of whom are very deserving in their own right. But I believe this country, especially the District of West Bay, needs somebody like my grandmother to run and to be that and to be that the right representation needed. My grandmother is somebody who will never turn her back on you, especially after May 24th, because they're all here for you now. And then when they're elected and they're in there, they forget about you. My grandmother is not that. Definitely not that. We need somebody who is filled with integrity, filled with honesty, someone that is so courageous that they will stand up for your rights, even if it's against Goliath. And that is my grandmother in a nutshell. My grandmother will be that person to push for these rights. Anything that you have on your plate that you need this to be seen and sought through, my grandmother will be that person. I'm confident to say that. And to have somebody like her on my side has certainly made me into the woman that I am today. And I wholeheartedly believe that she will make a great impact on this country. And I will never, ever begin to thank her for the positive impact that she's played in my life. And I cannot wait to see the impact that she has on this country when she's elected. And that is, that is what I have to say about my grandmother for tonight. May 24th, you know what to do. Of course, this is the lady. She's the woman with the plan.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I heard there was some smoke earlier. I think we might start to see some sparks here with the next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, showing his commitment to West Bay, and he probably has some reasons, or a little bit just like how I have my mother down the street. He has a mother-in-law in West Bay. That's even worse than having mother down the street in the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, showing his commitment to Miss Daphne and to West Bay, please help me welcome the Premier of the Cayman Islands, Mr. Alden McLaughlin.
I hear people talking bad about the way they have to live here in this country. Harping on the wars we fight, griping about the way things ought to be. I don't mind them switching sides and standing up for things they believe in. When they're running.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here in West Bay, right in the heart of what some believes is enemy territory for the progressives. But I don't view it that way at all. I want to give a big shout out to my mother-in-law, sitting right down there, Miss Marie Bush. I've been married to a pretty West Bay girl for 31 years. And I lived just down the road here for 4.5 with Miss Marie and Mr. Denby after we got married. So I know a little bit about West Bay, believe it or not. And this is a true story. Mr. Bush, Mr. McKeever Bush, the Honorable McKeever Bush, because that's his title, told me that I send, and this is his words, I send Daphne down here to scandalize and provoke him. I want you to know that while I might get some pleasure from all of those things, that is really not the reason why we have asked Ms. Daphne to join this slate. The Progressives is a government that has been a government that represents the entire Cayman Islands, all 3 islands and all 6 districts. We have always contested a seat in West Bay, even though we have so far never gotten one. This past term is the closest we've ever come. We've had, as a member of the government, the Honorable Tara Rivers, as Minister of Education and Gender Affairs, and she's done an excellent job on our behalf. She is still very much associated with us, and we are wishing her well and doing everything we can to support her re-election. But she is not a member of the party. And it is important to us that the party contest a seat, at least one seat, in the District of West Bay, one of the biggest and most important districts in these islands. And we would not want West Bayers to feel that the Progressives don't care enough about West Bay to even contest a seat. And so we are most grateful that we are fortunate enough to have someone of the ability and the courage of Ms. Daphne to stand up in West Bay West against the Honorable Big Mac, the Honorable McKeever Bush, because there are not many people I know who are brave enough to do that, especially in the present and new dispensation of single-member electoral districts where you're going head-to-head against him. And so, Ms. Daphne, kudos to you. We are so proud of you and your courage. But aside from all of that, there is no question that Ms. Daphne has the wherewithal to be a good representative for West Bay. She has been before. And the years that have passed since has just given her that much more experience and perspective. And if she is successful in winning the seat in West Bay West, I have no doubt whatsoever that she will be an exceptionally good representative for the district, the new district of West Bay West, more broadly the district of West Bay as we know it, and the Cayman Islands as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, over the course of the past 4 years, this administration, which I've had the honor and privilege to lead, has worked very hard to bring this country back from the brink of disaster. When we took office, the economy had flatlined. Confidence in the Cayman Islands and in the government was at an all-time low. Investors were standing on the sidelines saying, I'm not sure whether this is a place I want to invest in. Largely as a result of the way the previous government, and in particular its leader at the time, the Honorable McKeever Bush, had conducted the affairs of government. Added to that was the impact of the global recession, and I acknowledge that that was a major factor. But the reality was that unemployment in these islands was at an all-time high. Caymanian unemployment was at 10.5% at the end of 2012. Government finances were in a state of shambles. The government could not balance its budget. In fact, in the last year of the UDP administration, they never brought the budget, which was supposed to have been brought in June, until December, because they could not get the permission of the United Kingdom government, and because we were in breach of various provisions of the Public Management and Finance Law. The United Kingdom government had to essentially give the sign-off on the budget before we could table it. That is the state of affairs that we found the country in when we took office. You fast forward from May 2013 to now April of 2017. And not only are we out from under the auspices of the UK government with respect to our finances and the budget, but we have a combined surplus over the 4 years of some $414 million. We have $100 million in general reserves, and we have paid down, or would have paid down by the end of this financial year, $125 million in debt. The government is operating without the need for any overdraft facility. We have not borrowed 1 penny in long-term borrowings over the course of the 4 years. All of the major projects that are going ahead, the airport, the roadworks in particular that you see, and all of the smaller projects that we have done, have all been done on the basis of cash. We have put this country in a position that is the absolute envy of the region. Indeed, when Minister Archer and I last went to the United Kingdom to talk to the UK, to the FCO, about giving us the ability to pay back debt faster than we are currently allowed to, because under the provisions before we've managed to change them, which we've now done, we could not spend more than 10% of the government's budget, of its revenue, on servicing debt without being in breach of the Public Management and Finance Law. And we said to them, to the lady, he will remember her name, he'll speak after me. We said to the lady from the FCO, who's their economist, that we didn't think that this was a terribly sensible provision. If we wanted to pay back debt faster, there should not be a penalty or some restriction preventing us from doing so. And there was no argument. She says, absolutely, I agree with you. She says, I'll tell you what, Minister Archer, I believe that we should organize a seminar in London for the other overseas territories, ministers of finance, so that they can understand and appreciate how you actually get a balanced budget, because Cayman is an exception to the rule right across all of the overseas territories. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of stewardship that you have had from the Progressives administration. I like McKeever. I do. very much. He's a very, very good leader of the opposition, and that's where he should stay. We don't want him back in government. And we need good representation from West Bay, and in particular West Bay West, to help support the current government unless we have a minimum of 10 members who have won their seats or 10 members who are prepared to support this administration. We will not be back in government. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am more than happy. In fact, I'm delighted to be here to support Ms. Daphne Orrett's candidacy for the district of West Bay West, and to say again how proud and how pleased we are of her and her courage in taking on Big Mac in this election. We know it is not an easy fight. All of us are old soldiers in this political army, and so none of us are here with pipe dreams. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time, it is really time that West Bay had proper representation in the Progressives government. And I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, give Ms. Daphne Orrett your support at the polls on 24th of May and help us form another Progressives administration to continue to take this country onward and upward. Thank you all. Good night.
Well, West Bay, my mom promised not to keep you here long, so I'm going to speed this up as well. Just before I introduce my mother, I too have a few words I would like to say. At the tender age of 7, I can remember as a little girl sticking out my head just far enough, listening out as each train pulled into the subway station situated just below our New York apartment. Each day, of course, waiting on that one particular train. And because I had this waiting period down to a science, I knew exactly which train Mom was on. And so the countdown began. I started counting from 1 to 60, knowing exactly how many human footsteps she'd have to take before emerging from the subway station. And there she was, my mother. "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy," I screamed, dashing to the front door and again counting. Remember I said I had this down to a science? Counting 1 to 15, her every human footstep. That's how long I knew it would take for her to get to the door. I dashed for the door, and with tears of joy streaming down my face, I started screaming, and I ran right into my mother's loving arms. And I said this because I would go to bed each night praying to God, "Give all the little children of the world a mommy like mine." It still baffles me to this day with that way I see how Mom managed to raise 5 kids, working full-time with government, Sunday school superintendent and teacher, helping out with the neighborhood kids, helping them with their homework, while cooking a 3-course meal for her family, visiting the elderly, the sick, and the shut-ins, attending each PTA meeting and sporting event for her children, and organizing family, church, and neighborhood gatherings. Yes, folks, she did it all. If you want integrity, honesty, and compassion, well, my mother, Mrs. Daphne Orrett, is your candidate. Come the 24th of May, 2017. If you want change, then before marking your X in that voting booth, say a short, silent prayer, asking God for guidance. Remember, integrity, compassion, and honesty. Vote my mother, Mrs. Daphne Orrett. Ladies and gentlemen, From West Bay West, Miss Daphne Orrett, who's simply the best.
Simply the best, better than all the rest, better than anyone I've ever met. I'm stuck on your heart, I hang on every word you say.
Well, 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 good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a privilege to be in your company this evening. Thank you for coming out. Thank you so much. I am Daphne Orrett, the daughter of the late Henry Ackerman and his lovely wife, Coriel Louise, two of the finest human beings I have ever known. They made our home a place in which my brother, my three sisters, and I could find love, security, enjoyment, and Christian values. I was married to the late Caleb Buddy Orrett and have been blessed to be the mother of our 5 children. Caleb, our firstborn, whom God took home to himself in February 2016. Our daughters, Nina, Sarah, and Hetty, and her second son, Keith. Nurturing my children and later helping with my grandchildren has proven to me that motherhood is one of the choicest blessings of life. All praise and glory to God for his unfailing love and providence to all of us. The freedoms we enjoy in Cayman are many, not least of which is the freedom of being able to assemble here this evening in an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. Such a lovely setting. As we sit on our lovely beach, listening to the gentle waves of the Caribbean Sea, a nice cool breeze blowing, just an ideal setting in which to mix and mingle under a starlit sky. So now, smile. On my billboards, you will see 3 words on some of those: smile, pray, vote. Those mean something. During election times, as many of you know, there are individuals, families, supporters, for some reason, they seem to have lost the smile that they had for you when they passed you in the supermarket. Or they kind of slip to the other aisle and they miss you. Forget about all that. Election time is that of making a choice. You choose whom you think will be the better of the candidates who are available to you for election. So don't get upset, just smile. I share a couple of hundred of those every day, so don't bother keeping your smile from anyone. The next word is pray. This is an important election, an election in which we have a choice. One person, one vote. Pray about it. Think about the individuals and then make your choice. And when you go into the booth, as you vote, you know you will have done your civic duty for your country. Ladies and gentlemen, I think right now of a gentleman who lives just down the road, Mr. Benson Obadiah E. Banks. I hope Mr. Benson might be hearing some of this. I don't know. But I can tell you that gentleman is a hero, a statesman, a stalwart citizen of these islands, and I look up to him as my mentor, someone who never had anything hanging over him like scandals or corruption or anything. It is that kind of individual that not only do I want to emulate, with the grace and the power and the help of God, that's who I am. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are once again in West Bay in the thick and thin of a general election campaign. And I stand before you as one of the candidates seeking to win the one seat in the District of West Bay West. I truly believe that I am the candidate who is best suited to occupy that seat. Thank you. West Bay West includes Northwest Point, the community where I was born and spent most of my life, actually. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that I have lived in any place better. Northwest Point, where my grandparents were born, as were my parents, their children, and later their grandchildren. A place where we joined friends to go swimming and fishing and climbing trees, picking mangoes, playing cricket in the mission yard, running up and down the Marl Road with hardly a car in sight, getting bucktoes and, well, just enjoying life. It was here also that all our family and friends found enjoyment, peace, and solace in our Pilgrim Holiness Church and all its exciting activities, especially for young people. I cherish the memories of my childhood. My days in school were absolutely wonderful. I finished school rather early, but at the age of 14 and too young to go on to college, I was offered an opportunity to teach 10 and 11-year-olds. I enjoyed everything about that experience, except that I had to be called Miss Daphne. I also started teaching in Sunday school at the age of 14, something I have continued throughout my life. And like the rest of my family, I sing and act. At the age of 17, I joined the civil service as secretary to the judge of the Grand Court. And from there, I worked in the government's Treasury Department and later moved on to work as secretary to the late Sir John A. Cumber, administrator, now called governor. Later, when I moved to the Health Services Department, I served as an executive officer, now called chief officer. I have over 10 years' experience as a legal secretary and a similar time in condo management. More recently, I have worked in the real estate field. I spent 4 years as an elected member of the Legislative Assembly, during which time my main focus was on fighting for the rights of women and children, the downtrodden and underprivileged. I count it a privilege to have championed this cause, and together with my keen interest in tourism as well as social work, I believe that my time spent as a representative in the House of Assembly has made a marked and positive difference in the lives of many. However, there is still much left to be done. It has gone somehow unnoticed, certainly in the District of West Bay. I believe that this is my time to continue in this very important area of God's work in Cayman. I am ready, willing, and able to face the daunting challenge, and with the help of God, I want to once again make a positive difference in the lives of my people. It can be done. It must be done. I want to focus a bit on the at-risk children and crime in our district of West Bay. There are far too many people who are being lost through the cracks. And in a small community such as ours, this cannot continue. without serious effort being made to rectify the situation. The need is urgent. There is no time to waste. The poet said, "We are not here to play, to dream, to drift. We have hard work to do and loads to lift. Shun not the battle. Face it. 'Tis God's gift. Be strong." We sometimes focus our attention a whole lot on simple things, but there are very serious matters amongst our youth that we need. I am not so worried about the child who picks up a spliff of ganja to smoke. I am very concerned about what we are facing now with teenage abuse of alcohol. I am concerned about teenage pregnancies. I am concerned that amongst our youth, we are losing them at a tremendous rate in the district of West Bay. It is my firm belief that all of us, every citizen of this country, is responsible in some way for the betterment of each and every child who has been born into circumstances which are just not conducive to an all-round healthy childhood. In some big cities, like say Miami or New York or other places, children may slip through the cracks. But in Cayman, this cannot be allowed to happen. We must do whatever is necessary to stem the tide of crime and violence in our communities. The constituents of West Bay West has fallen prey to much of this violence, particularly in two key areas. Together, with the help of all concerned citizens, it is my intention to not only see a healthy revitalization of these two areas, but to encourage the residents who are there to work and to make their community one of which they can be proud to call, "This is my home." If and when I am elected, I intend to make the community of Logwoods one of my first priorities for community development and enhancement. It is my desire to see this area dealt with as a matter of urgency. And that is not a vain promise. As soon as the new government is put in place and we can get down to work, this community will have my focus, our focus, and keen attention. I would wish to engage the help of land planners, landscapers, architects, construction work managers, and every other interested partner to plan and coordinate perhaps in a public-private partnership, the revitalization of this community. No longer will that community be called the crime capital of West Bay, but it shall be called the new Logwoods. Children must be given the privilege of growing up in an environment where they are not scared to go outside their home for fear that bullets could be flying around from someplace nearby. All children deserve to grow up in peace and harmony. And here in Cayman, you and I are responsible to see that they do. It is my desire to see the residents of the more affluent, upscale neighborhoods, such as, say, the Shores, or Governor's Harbor, or Crystal Harbor, and other areas. The residents there to work along with the schools, the churches, children and family services, and other stakeholders to formulate plans and implement a healthy, vibrant mentorship program to mentor a child for a day or two. Whether that can be taking them out fishing, at a game of golf or tennis, or in a myriad of other positive activities. Even if only for once a month, give these children an opportunity to see and hear and feel and experience what it is like to live in a healthy home environment. We must ensure that there are added sporting facilities built right here in West Bay. A nice big pool for training, tennis courts, volleyball courts, and other sporting activities that they can be involved in. Not everyone wants to be a football player. There are scores of students, past students from some of our schools who have great skills in music. These are areas that once children become involved, it just not only heightens their curiosity, but it sets their mind on a path which is positive and healthy. These individuals who have graduated, many of them, they're not even using their musical skills anymore. They can be involved in after-school programs. Teachers cannot be expected to look after children after 3 o'clock. They have to go on to further work, which brings me to a point. I hope we'll see teachers paid for the work that they do, and that we can, because quite frankly, I don't think that they do at this point. But what I am trying to say here, that in order to supplement the efforts of what they get in school, we can focus our attention on individuals who can bring different skills, but help these children. It is not enough to say, well, what do you expect? They were born so-and-so. They belong to so-and-so. That excuse can no longer be held up. There is no reason why here in Cayman we cannot have the passion and interest in serving our communities by helping to work with our children. It may take some of our own leisure time, but that's what we will have to do. We must stem the flow of firearms. And I wholeheartedly agree that with the plans of the progressives to place much greater emphasis on patrolling and protecting our coastal borders, this will help in reducing the number of firearms which are coming here illegally. This has to be a top priority, and certainly will be money well spent. This increase that we have seen in violent crime must be tackled from all fronts. What I do know is there are many things that I think we can do, which I cannot elaborate on all those here this evening. However, in West Bay in particular, we have to understand we are only as safe as the rest of West Bay is. So if there's one child that you can help, do so. It'll pay off in the future. As ordinary private citizens, we have a duty to report any suspicious activity, and every community should put in place a neighborhood watch. We must work with the police to bring peace and tranquility back to our islands. My passion is to make life better for the underprivileged and destitute people of our community. And I promise to give my best, as I have done before, to serve them as well as all of our other residents, particularly in the district of West Bay West. The progressives are also planning on building a new police station. One of the resolutions, which was adopted at the last conference just a few weeks ago, is that government will, the re-elected progressive government will address these concerns by enhancing the community policing and the installation of security cameras and in strategic public places. They're also thinking about having small substations in those areas which are at greater risk, and assisting in helping to deter and to reduce the crime rate in West Bay. It is not good. It is just not good. We have to put our minds on getting these things done. As in the interest of our children, it is important that we focus on building another school in West Bay. However, may I just digress here a bit? The police station in which our Royal Cayman Islands Police worked day after day after day was on a manifesto in 1988 to be replaced. 30 years later, almost, that police station is still there. I understand it was condemned for habitation by prisoners, but our police officers still work there. This government, the Progressives, when they are returned to the House in May, will ensure that this is rectified. There has been too many key areas in the District of West Bay which have been neglected, overlooked, and we have to change that. John A. Cumber School is overcrowded. With a government like the Progressives, we who know how to properly manage the country's finances, I am sure we shall have an additional school in the near future. Additionally, government's assistance must continue for the private schools in our district, all of which are producing students of a high caliber. I want to mention to you that it is difficult for me to understand, difficult to comprehend, how $60 million, or maybe closer to $70 million, was spent, overspent, on a school in another district. I have no problem about any other district getting new schools, which I'm sure were needed. But when you waste, or certainly can't give a good reason for going over and above what was budgeted for the school by $60 million, and you overlook the fact that you need school facilities in West Bay, there is no one who can tell me that is good representation. We have a little piece of land here, it's called the Pizza Slice. It was paid more than double, as I understand it, as to what the appraisal value was. It sits there, it's a car park. More than twice the appraised value. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? The architect who spent his time to design the projects that was supposed to be put in place there has never been paid his $26,000. This is what poor representation is. The Progressives are interested also. That's another one of their resolutions. There's several roads throughout the District of West Bay that have fallen into disrepair. Be it resolved that the elected Progressives government will repair and upgrade the road network in West Bay. It shall be done. West Bay needs good roads, not just because we want them. We pay the same taxes, the same fees for our cars as does those individuals who are driving on nice, properly maintained roads. We need a new police station, I've just said that. Promised since 1988. But you expect our police officers to go there every day. We need to tackle the problem of teenage drinking, as I mentioned. And there's a serious need for suitable residential facilities for our at-risk juveniles, be that on the island or in a more suitable environment overseas. This is not something to take lightly. If we can grasp these children and get them moving in the right direction at an early age, we prevent not just that they're going to get into further trouble, but we prevent more and more moving into incarceration in Northward Prison. There are too many West Bayers in Northward Prison. Young people. I can think of one who was the valedictorian at John A. Cumber School. And he went on, and his grades were good, and then he fell by the wayside. We need to work with Family and Children's Services, the police, the schools, the churches, everything. We need to understand that this is going to have to be a combined effort. But my heart tells me that we cannot just sit and accept that this is a way of life. It has to be changed. I understand that recently there's been a promise for $1,000 to be allocated for indigents, the poor, and so on. But let me tell you something. The progressives have thus far found a better solution. They have a needs assessment unit. They find out what the needs are of the individuals. And this, by the way, is not based on whether or not they voted for the progressives. They assess your needs. Some require food vouchers. Others, their utilities are paid. Others require that they get assistance with rent. So you put that all together, and when you realize that this is made available to everyone who has a real need. Now, having done that, they're also encouraging everyone who can work to look for work so that they can maintain themselves. We don't want a welfare state. You have been provided with all the exciting and great reports from time to time by our members of government. However, tonight we have a financial genius who also has connections to West Bay, actually. The Honorable Marco Archer. As we've heard our legal expert, Minister of Financial Services, the Honorable Wayne Padden, whose wife also hails from West Bay, the young and smart Joey Hugh, born and bred right this so, a few yards from here. He knows this beach as well as the iron shore going down behind our former home. And our Honorable Premier has provided you with even more great plans and good news. Surely, voters of West Bay, we have been blessed with some very talented and dedicated individuals. I can think now of how a government has been formed. When the elections were over in 2013, you will recall that not everyone was from the Progressives Party. There comes along Mr. Roy McTaggart, Miss Tara Rivers. They were able to work and integrate and form a government. And they must be doing something right, because every report is upbeat and positive. It is miraculous what they have been able to accomplish in 4 years. We've had the councillors and the others who work with them. I think of our financial secretary, Mr. Jefferson, and all these other people who are working with them, because the civil service has to work with the government. We cannot have a civil service who doesn't cooperate and work with the government. But something is happening, and it has been a positive, definitely good 4 years for this country under the progressives. Any government who upon taking office, discovers that there's less than $60 million in the reserve fund, and in less than 4 years, increase that figure, not just doubling or tripling or quadrupling the amount, but they moved up 5, 6, 7 times more. This is unheard of. But it's because there's been, just let me say it this way. When the main pillar of your economy is financial services, you better know you put someone there who knows what he's doing. Pardon? Okay. Imagine our government, who is, we've heard, eliminates the 66 million overdraft, doing everything that they've been doing with no new taxes, everything being paid for by cash. When have you heard about that? I could go on, but I'll let you not be. I will ensure of one thing. I want you to ensure one thing, that when you go to the voting booth to cast your vote, you ask yourself, do I want this change, this miraculous change to continue, or do I want to go back to the failed policies, the waste of the past? Let me say that with such an efficient government as the Progressives have proven to be, I have no doubt that I will have no problem seeing the urgent needs of our district being met. I salute and applaud each and every one of the members of the government. So let it be the Progressives once more with compassion. Remember, the word tells us, blessed are the people whose God is the Lord. And we are truly blessed to be governed by dedicated, experienced, honest, hardworking leaders who work tirelessly for love of country. God has blessed us with so much. Don't fly in his face and change what he has so miraculously provided for us. The word says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. So I implore you, Cayman, don't ever forget. I implore you, West Bay, don't you ever forget. Hold fast to that which is right. The Progressives are right for our country. We are the envy of many countries, not only in the Caribbean region, but around the world. No need to worry or fret about any of our government members causing embarrassment while in negotiations either here or abroad. They stand tall and confident on the world stage. They continue to make us proud. No scandals, no charges of corruption, no gambling with the people's money. It's all spent wisely. There can be no turning back to empty promises, deception, and wastefulness. Election is about choice. So choose wisely. A good representative requires more than voicing one's opinion on a talk show, more than appearing on a scene every 4 years, more than making promises, more than selfish ambitions. It requires many attributes, not least of which is integrity and honesty. Let me repeat that, integrity and honesty. An individual who possesses deeply held moral Christian values, one who cares for the plight of the downtrodden, an individual who is one and the same, whether at home or in the public eye. I was pleased tonight. In fact, I asked that members of my immediate family would, having said I had to have some endorsements, I was pleased to do it. You can't be somebody at home and somebody else outside. You have to be one person, and you have to be caring. Over all these years, I have not hurt myself by giving to others, because I was blessed to be raised in a home with so much love. And next door to us was a family whose father had gone and left them. And my mother and father basically raised another family along with their own. So this is not something new to me. It's who I am. When it comes to integrity, I want to mention something. In this election, when you find a candidate who knows and sees who your nominators are and who your witnesses are, they've seen you being nominated. Hours after the nomination process has been done, that individual called to ask my nominators and my witnesses to sit on his committee. There's something called honesty and integrity. And that is not something you can buy from a supermarket. You either have it or you don't. Yes, West Bayers, you have a choice. You have a choice of one individual to represent you in the House of Assembly of the Cayman Islands. And I repeat, you need someone with honesty and integrity, someone with compassion, someone who is committed to ensuring that this time spent in government will prove worthwhile for each and every citizen of these beautiful islands. I will be found in my office when I should be there, but there will be also my feet on the ground when I need to go and see others. This is not new to me. This is something that I do, but I can have more of a voice and I can have more of an influence if I'm elected to the House of Assembly. And now to the voters who reside in the constituency of West Bay West. You have a choice, and you can rest comfortably as you place your vote alongside the name of your candidate, none other than Daphne Orrett. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and God bless all who reside in these wonderful islands. And remember, all of you who will be choosing the candidate for West Bay West, under the sound of my voice or otherwise, vote for the lady on the ticket, Daphne Orrett, simply the best to serve as your representative. I will leave the stage with this, The Greatest Gift. It's a poem by R.C. Winthrop. The noblest contribution which any man can make for the benefit of posterity is that of a good character. The richest bequest which any man can leave to the youth of his native land is that of a shining, spotless example. God bless you, and have a wonderful night, and vote for the Progressives on the 24th of May.